Hello and welcome viewers to this live chat session. My long time friend Daniel Abate has joined today. He has been a little out of touch these days. How are you, Daniel? Uzil, once again, one of the first to join. Peace and love, again, one of the first. Johnny Milo, Hope for Peace, Bromi, Kingpin, Balacho, thank you for joining. Sageto, Hinsermotai, who also stays in touch with me through email to Lize Iliastu, long watching me for a long time and in touch with me as well. Uh, Abba Jigo, Johnny says, Sajid, where did you get all this information? All of you give me information, and I have some dedicated sources too. So it's not difficult now because almost for the last 2 years I've been covering Ethiopia. And I don't remember any key event in Ethiopia which I did not cover. Religious, cultural, sports, regional. So gradually, I have built my understanding of the culture, of the people, of politics, of religion, of the war, of neighbor, of regional politics. And gradually, I have learned where people are talking from. So if you follow something, a topic so much, gradually you are able to give independent analysis, and then you develop sources too. Samuel Charinet, Hassan Yusuf, Ashinafi, Ahmad Ibrahim, Minister of Truth, Amin Muzin, Lee Michael Smith, Mulugata Shimal. Mulugata says, to whom you support, Sajid? I support the people of Ethiopia, people of Eritrea. Because these people are suffering. War is basically between political elite. Tigray elite was ruling Ethiopia for 20 years, and now other elite is ruling. People in Tigray were not rich people. Overall, even when TPLF was in power, there was poverty in Tigray. And same is in other parts of Ethiopia. This is basically a battle between political leadership. And this battle among political class elites is now having an impact on the people of Ethiopia and Eritrea as well. Eritrean people already suffering a lot, trying to flee the country. Now they're in the grip of a war. Conscription ongoing, forcible recruitments too. So I support only people of Ethiopia, people of Eritrea and neighboring countries. I want them to live in peace. And that is why I don't support any party. People watch me, people unsubscribe, people threaten me all day. I don't care, honestly. I just care about the quality of news. I make mistakes, then I correct. So my loyalty is with the people, not with any faction in Ethiopia. No, you are TDF, someone is saying, people will keep on saying, I cannot make some agree to what I'm saying, but what matters for me is that I should keep on working. Teddy Fan says Tigray need economic integration with other regions to survive. What do you think? Yes, definitely. Tigray's economy is it's at a standstill, and you cannot survive in this way. That is what siege means. When we say Tigray is under siege, what does it mean? It means Tigray is not allowed to communicate with neighboring regions or countries economically to run the economy of the region. No region can survive in this way. Nowhere in the world can region survive. You survive by exchanging ideas, things, your production with neighboring regions, but Tigray is under siege. Balacho, do you think the final outcome of this war will greatly determine the balance of power between the north and the south? North and the south in Ethiopia, obviously the war is between the north and the south if you're talking about Ethiopia. Liz Elias, always love to see you. Thank you. Noha, how do you personally think this war will go out? How will it come to an end? Uh, it's difficult. Honestly, it's very difficult to say how this war will come to an end. Maybe some sort of agreement between Tigray and Amhara can put an end to this war. But the two sides are involved in one of the major disputes, which is a major cause of this war, and that is Volkayet. If Tigray and Amhara somehow agree on some points, this war can come to a close. So I personally think that Tigray-Amhara relationship should get better somehow. I don't know how it will be done, but there is need for some sort of reconciliation between these two regions. If it happens, maybe PM Abiy government Eritrean could come under pressure and the war could come to a close. Otherwise, so far, Eritrean government is definitely pursuing a policy of complete containment of TPLF, and Ethiopian government is now heavily relying on Eritrea. Ethiopian government is using Eritrean soil, Eritrean military, Eritrean consultation, Eritrean knowledge, Eritrean command. So that is why perhaps this time I think it is difficult for PM Abiy to announce ceasefire, to announce stopping of war unilaterally. If you remember, in 2020, PM Abiy 2021, PM Abiy announced withdrawal of forces from Tigray. Eritrea did not agree reportedly. Back then, war was mainly in Tigray. Tigray forces were defending Central Tigray. ENDF, EDF were both in Tigray. Back then, ENDF was not heavily relying on EDF. I think this time ENDF is more relying on EDF. PM Abiy is more reliant on Isaias Afwerki. That is why it would be difficult for PM Abiy, federal government, to announce ceasefire unilaterally. It's difficult for them. So that is why way out for me is some sort of engagement between Tigray and Amhara. Envied, who do you think is more to blame for all this mess in Ethiopia? All are to blame. TPLF in power for decades. You cannot say that TPLF cannot be blamed. People have lots of grievances against the way TPLF ruled Ethiopia. And after that, obviously, PM Abiy was the in charge in Ethiopia. So he tried reconciliation, but the reconciliation did not succeed. And he, I think, should have kept himself away from Eritrea. He gave in to Eritrean influence, and it happened that gradually, Eritrean influence in Ethiopia increased. And PM Abiy lost the space to make independent decisions. I would blame all. I would blame federal government more than others, especially for the third phase of war. Federal government should have resumed basic services in Tigray. Had banking been resumed, had telecom been resumed in Tigray, what would have happened? Nothing. But Ethiopian government did not show flexibility. Tigray, on the other hand, was also making preparations. For this third phase, I would blame Ethiopian federal government more than Tigray regional government. And that is what my consistent position is. Though I still say third phase of this war was started by Tigray when Tigray forces launched an offensive into Wollo from southern Tigray. Abba Jigo says, do you think TPLF has now given up Volkayt and is ready for concession? TPLF, Tigray regional government, will never abandon its claim to Volkayt because there is no survival of Tigray without Volkayt. We must understand the geography. Tigray is encircled to the east Afar, pro-Ethiopian government, to the north Eritrea, to the south Amhara. So only outlet for Tigray is in western direction. If Tigray ever desires to be a country in future, or if it does not want to be reliant on Ethiopian regions, it needs to have some sort of outlet, and that outlet, that corridor is with Sudan. So that is why Tigray will never make concession on Volkayt. And this is the main issue which is unresolved between Tigray and Amhara. That is why war will go on. Why did this third phase of war start? This third phase started because the two sides could not resolve the issue, main issue, Western Tigray, Volkayt. Other issues like resumption of basic services, like unfettered access to Tigray, are small issues, can be agreed. Main issue is Volkayt, bridge, corridor with Sudan. By the way, since last year, I have been saying one thing, a solution so far which is rejected by all the parties. I've been saying that since Tigray and Amhara hold very rigid positions about Volkayt, Humaira Sagade, that is why some sort of middle ground should be found. That Tigray gets access to Sudan, at the same time Amhara gets parts of Volkayt Sagade. But when I make this recommendation, people from all sides, from Tigray, from Amhara, they go after me. They say, Sajid, you are anti-Amhara, you are anti-Tigray. But no, problem is that how to end this war? There must be some out-of-box solution, some sort of out-of-box solution for which the parties will have to make some adjustments. Otherwise, they'll keep on fighting, killing each other, killing people, civilians. Mehari is saying, Sajid, can they capture Mekelle? Mekelle can be captured. Can it be captured in a way, in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year? That we can discuss. But what we are saying is that capturing of Mekelle will not be end to this war. That is what we saw in November 2020. In just 23 days, EDF captured Mekelle. But war went on for 7 months and still it did not end. In June 2021, when EDF withdrew from Tigray, even back then Tigray was in control of large territories. So capturing of Mekelle does not mean an end to this war. We should be very clear, viewers, when people say that TPLF is going to be decimated, Mekelle is going to come under EDF control, EDF control. Even if it happens, it wouldn't mean end to this war. How can end this war? I said a few minutes ago, some Tigray, Amhara, I think alignment is needed for the end to this war. Tigray Amhara alignment, if this is a new term which you want to use, Tigray Amhara alignment, can it be reached? If it can happen, we could see an end to this war. Sajid, we love you. Aline says, I love you too. By the way, these days I have to work a lot. You know that I have started another channel, Conflict News 24, where I cover Russia, Ukraine conflict, Middle East, other conflicts. So I am extremely busy. Several channels contacted me, several Twitter accounts contacted me for space for interviews, but I could not take time out. So a little stressed as well. So that is why sometimes these comments which I read are extremely painful for me, because I try my best to give true information to the people without any bias towards any side. I do make mistakes, I make corrections, but people start insulting me, they start accusing me of being on the payroll of someone. So it's a bit painful for me sometimes. Maybe it's because of overwork. But what I love is that you people talk to me in comment section, in live chats. In recent days, I have blocked some accounts which were sharing some messages, but I will unblock them in a few hours. But please stay in touch. You keep me on the right path. Why don't you have an African peace for all? Why don't we have an African covering the war like you? There might be some Africans, I don't know about other people, but people should cover conflicts neutrally. By the way, it's happening in Russia-Ukraine conflict too. If you watch reporting about Russia-Ukraine conflict, you would see that most channels, most sources are one-sided. So that happens in almost all conflicts. It's not unique to Ethiopia. Those who are following what is happening in Russia-Ukraine conflict, they know that the two sides have launched their paid or not paid, supporting the two sides, one or the other side. And we know that some official channels have been launched too by some Western countries, Russians too. So there is a flood of misinformation and disinformation about Russia-Ukraine conflict as well. It happens in almost all conflicts because those people who cover conflicts, mostly they have interests in covering the conflict. They have loyalty for one or the other party. That is why they start covering a conflict. For me, it's, you can say, my profession, simply. So for me, what matters is accurate, precise reporting. The watcher says you're judging TDF at the same level as EDF and ENDF. Tigray is invaded. Tigray is trying to get back lands taken during the war. How to judge? I mostly don't judge anyone. I just share updates with you. Tigray has a right to defend its lands, but Tigray is invading other regions too. People of Wollo suffered a lot. People of Amhara suffered a lot. Afar as well. What happened last year? Women were raped in Amhara region too. So all are suffering. Yes, you can say that people of Tigray are suffering more than others. But it's not there is peace in Amhara far regions. What is happening in Wog Himra, in North Gondar? So all are suffering. Tigray is suffering more, you can say. Has the hatred towards Tigray people increased, do you think Teddy fan says? I think the hatred is not for Tigray or for the people of Tigray. Hatred was towards the ruling class of Tigray, which ruled Ethiopia for years. A common Tigrayan did not rule Ethiopia. He had no role in decision making when TPLF was in power. So, hatred is mainly towards TPLF. All political forces in Ethiopia, in Eritrea, there is one force, they have decided to sideline TPLF. And people of Tigray are suffering because it's difficult to differentiate between TPLF and people of Tigray. So I wouldn't say that Amharas hate Tigrayans. No. No one hates Tigrayans. And Tigrayans don't hate Amharas or Oromos. War is between political class, ruling elite, and civilians are the victims of this war, common Tigrayans. You get paid by Amhara, Tola Bola says. Okay, Tola Bola. Thank you for revealing this truth. Someone going to say you are paid by TPLF again after a few seconds. Do you think Elon Musk will provide net internet to Tigray? Why would he? These billionaires have their interests. They are backed by big powers. Yes, US Western powers wanted access to internet for the people of Ukraine. That is why he was involved there. Now, US and West want regime change in Iran, so that is why Elon Musk is going to provide internet to Iranian protesters. US does not have such interests in this region, so why would Elon Musk be involved here? Important question. Hi Sajid, with whom do you think IC is currently siding and why? So far, I think international community is balanced. It is not threatening Ethiopian government with sanctions. It is not helping Tigray regional government as well. No provision of weapons to Tigray in this war. It could have happened before this war, before 24th of August. But these days, no provision of weapons, no provision of support to Tigray fighters from any force abroad so far. It could have happened before 24th of August. So far, international community, by international community I mean EU and US, two main players, UN too. I think they are trying to make the two sides sit at the table. They succeeded when talks were held in Djibouti a few days ago. But talks could not succeed. So they'll wait a few weeks more, I think. After that, you might start seeing decisions made by international community. So they'll start taking sides with Ethiopian government or with the Tigray regional government. I think the topic of this chat session was major developments, which I want to discuss, which I want to speak on, but I'm taking your questions. There are two major developments which have happened in recent days, which are going to have an impact on the outcome of this war. Who owns the best minds in military experience? ENDF or TDF? I personally don't like this war. I am not in the habit of making soldiers heroes or generals heroes. Wherever generals, fighters are heroes, wars happen. Heroes should be scientists, students, doctors, teachers. These are heroes which change societies. So all have their knowledge. ENDF side, two TDF generals have their experience as well. But no one can avoid the killing of civilians. For me, hero general would be who will find a solution to this conflict. Can Sadkan do it? Can Jula do it? Can Abi do it? Can Debrasian do it? Whoever finds a solution is a hero for me. Shiraro front, I shared pictures from Shiraro, and after that, dozens of comments, hundreds of comments, mail. People said those are old. Those were old pictures, but they were not old pictures. New pictures. They were photoshopped by someone with April 2021 pasted, and they showed as if those were old pictures. Those were new pictures. Shiraro is reportedly under ENDF control. Though, problem is that if something happens in Shiraro now, we won't receive report from Shiraro immediately. It takes time. There is no internet there, and medium of communication is not very fast. So it takes hours for information to reach us. That is why things change sometimes. What we are talking about now might change in coming hours. Who is in control of Zarima? Someone is asking. I have been hearing about Zarima, but I just confirmed TDF's entry in Edirke. Though I told you that TDF was trying to cut off Edirke debark line. It means that it was trying to move towards Zarima. But once we have some solid information, then we'll talk about Zarima. So far, Edirke. Now let me speak a little on two major developments which I want to share with you, which can have an impact on the outcome of this war. Please let me speak a little. I'll take your questions after that. First major development is that UN General Assembly session is being held in New York. And their presidents, prime ministers, top officials from across the world are attending the session. And there some key level meetings have been held. Another effort is being made by Mike Hammer, EU and UN envoys to convince the two sides, Ethiopian government and Tigray regional government, to sit at the table. Some meetings have been held. What is going to be the outcome of the meetings? We'll have to wait a little. Maybe in the week starting from tomorrow, we'll see. Is there any result of the meetings held in New York? So that remains to be seen. It's a major development because a renewed diplomatic effort is being made for finding a solution to this conflict. Because in the US, all regional leaders were there and all world leaders were there. Second important development is from Amhara region, where Zameen Akasi has been arrested. And now I spoke in the previous video that an uprising is starting in Gujjam. We know that Zaminakasi is from Gujjam. Masrisha from Gujjam as well, Fano commanders. Massafinth spoke as well a few hours ago, demanding the release of Zaminakasi. Protests which were banned in Amhara region are now starting to happen. Reportedly, Girma Yeshitela, his house came under attack in Gajjam. So we're starting to see an uprising in Gajjam. If this uprising expands in the Amhara region, it can have a serious impact on this war. It can force Ethiopian government to review its decisions about the ongoing war in northern Ethiopia. That is why we'll have to see the outcome of these two major developments, one which happened in Amhara region, which is happening, and the other which happened in New York, where top level meetings have been held. Why someone is saying you overrated the protests in Gajjam? Maybe, but it's, I said it's starting. It's starting. If it can turn into a major uprising, it could be a deciding factor in changing the direction this war going to take in northern Ethiopia. Maga says, what are OLA doing? OLA are gaining ground. They have taken some territories in Western Oromia. They have regained some ground, gained new territories. So they are in the phase of consolidation. They were under pressure. They were being targeted by ENDF, by Oromia Special Force Joint Operation. Now ENDF is out of Oromia, and this war has given a respite to OLA. OLA is regrouping, reorganizing, but we'll have to see what are OLA's objectives this time. Will OLA keep on waiting for the war to come to an end in northern Ethiopia? Because if this war comes to a close, definitely a new operation against OLA will be launched. So meanwhile, what will OLA do? Will it try to intensify recruitments and move towards Addis Ababa or Amhara? That remains to be seen, but OLA is in a very decisive phase of its struggle. If it does not regroup now, while war is ongoing in northern Ethiopia and it has opportunity available, if it cannot take advantage of this opportunity, then we could see new operations against OLA in future, which could be deadly operations, threat to OLA's survival. OLA is a joke, Mike says. You cannot completely rule out OLA. You saw that despite so many operations against OLA, OLA is still there. And it is in control of some territories. I talk to people. There are OLA appointed administrators in Oromia. OLA is ruling in parts of Oromia. It's not like Fano. Fano, even when its fighters were not in prison, was not ruling Amhara region. OLA is ruling parts of Oromia. It has its own administration. So you cannot rule it out as just a group of small group of fighters. Viewers, 35 minutes have passed. One of the best live chat sessions. Thank you for joining. I tried to answer as many questions as I could. Let's hope, let's pray that peace prevails in northern Ethiopia. whoever you are, wherever you are, please call for peace. Don't spread hate against other ethnic groups, against other countries. We should all call for peace, and we should question wherever, whenever fake information is being shared, hateful information is being shared. We must condemn it and we must not support it. Don't be part of fueling this conflict. If we cannot play a constructive role, we should not be a tool of spreading hate and disinformation. Thank you for watching. See you in the next live chat session. Bye bye.